It's finally here, October, the month where Top 5 produces the best and creepiest content of the year. An all-out month of scary videos, articles and stories. We have an absolute ton planned for the next few weeks, and I cannot wait to share it with you. We thought, what better way to start than a 4-part haunted locations series. Comprehensive reports, stories and footage on some of the creepiest and darkest locations in the world. We are starting with the United Kingdom, a country with no shortage of haunted hotels, restaurants or houses. Before we get into the first video of October, let's give Co.AG Music some appreciation. He's been working incredibly hard in the studio the last few months, working exclusively with me to create the amazing custom tracks you hear in the videos. Check out his channel and let him know how his music gets you in the mood and really helps bring this content alive. With that out the way, hit those lights, sit back and enjoy. The Skirrid Inn. The Skirrid Inn is not only the oldest pub in Wales, but it's also reported to be the most haunted. The ancient pub dates back to the 17th century and was formerly known as the Skirrid Mountain Inn, after the mountain to the east of the building with its distinctive hump-like appearance. A mountain that, according to legend, split when Christ was crucified. There are many legends surrounding the building, although some of them are a little exaggerated. However, it's thought that the first floor of the inn was used as a court of law, and certain offenders were sentenced to death within its walls. Legend has it that as many as 180 criminals were found guilty of crimes serious enough to warrant the death penalty by hanging. The executions were allegedly carried out at the inn itself, from an oak beam over the well of the staircase. There are even indentations to this day, said to be from the rope marks. Many believe it's the macabre history of the inn that has left the place riddled with ghosts. It's said that Judge Jeffreys, who condemned so many people to death, stalks the upper floors of the pub looking for his next victim. Also, a sheep rustler named John Crowther is supposed to be a frequent ghostly visitor, along with other unfortunate criminals who were hung there. But not all the ghosts are scary. There are said to be friendly ghosts as well, including a local clergyman and Fanny Price, a former landlady of the pub, who makes her presence felt by flinging the occasional glass across the bar. It's thought Fanny died of consumption in 1873, at the age of just 35, and she is buried in the nearby St. Michael's churchyard. Guests who stay at the pub are often totally unaware of the inn's haunted history, yet all report a variety of disturbing phenomena. On more than one occasion, guests have complained of a feeling of being strangled, only to discover the appearance of welts on their necks, resembling rope burns. Other guests have become overwhelmed with dizziness, nausea, or fear on the stairs. All complained of a palpable but invisible presence passing them. Late-night drinkers have reported seeing paper money flying around the bar, and others have heard knocking sounds, doors slamming and opening, and inexplicable cold spots throughout the building. These days, the pub is a haven for ghost hunters and paranormal investigators, and the owners of this now world-famous pub ensure its reputation lives up to expectations for its visitors. If you look online, there is a whole list of strange goings-on from people who have stayed overnight there. If that includes you, then please leave your feedback in the comments. I for one would love to spend the night there. Adelphi Hotel. The Adelphi Hotel has a long and rich history, as well as the reputation of being the most haunted hotel in the United Kingdom. The hotel today is the third hotel to stand on the same site, and when it opened in the early 20th century, it was regarded as the most luxurious hotel outside of London, and was popular with wealthy visitors, including Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, Frank Sinatra, Laurel and Hardy, and Judy Garland, just to name a few. It was also the place that Sir Jock Dallas Broughton, whose life was depicted in the film White Mischief, committed suicide in 1942. As you can imagine, there are a variety of ghosts that supposedly haunt the hotel, including a grey lady in the basement who has been seen dressed in Victorian attire, as well as the apparition of a 15-year-old boy who died in the hotel when he got trapped in a luggage lift in 1961. There have also been reports of a whistling ghost who taps on guests' shoulders and breathes down their necks. Another suicide victim, known as George, who killed himself at the hotel in the 1920s, is regularly seen dressed in a tuxedo and shouting from the upstairs window. From another window, in what is known as the Crosby Room, there have been sightings of someone hanging precautiously out the window. But when staff go and check, the window is locked. One of the rooms in the hotel is called the Sefton Suite, and is supposed to be an exact copy of RMS Titanic's first-class smoking lounge, being built by the same craftsman that worked on Titanic's interior. It was in this room that paranormal investigator and author Tom Sleman claims he had a once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Tom was giving a talk in the packed room when he and several of the guests spotted 3 men standing at the back of the room. They were dressed as naval officers, and one of them had a white beard and was around 60 years of age. As the audience started to panic, the trio disappeared. Tom claims that the staff told him later that they were the ghosts of Titanic's Captain Smith and 2 of his officers. Now, all this could be a publicity stunt, but considering the Adelphi is the oldest hotel in Liverpool, does this make the stories more credible? What do you think? Westminster Abbey. Westminster Abbey in London is a magnificent building. The site dates back to the 10th century, and along with the paintings, stained glass and other historical artefacts, it's also the final resting place of some of the most significant people in the UK's history. Over 3,300 people are buried or commemorated in the Abbey, amongst them the likes of Charles Dickens, Sir Isaac Newton, and Sir Laurence Olivier. With so many bodies entombed in the Abbey, it's no surprise that there are a few spirits still lingering around to haunt the place. One of the most common sightings is the ghost of Father Benedictus, a monk who has been seen floating around the cloisters, usually around 5 or 6 in the evening. His phantom figure appears solid and has been known to hold conversations with unsuspecting visitors. The spirit of John Bradshaw, who led the trial of Charles I, also supposedly walks Westminster Abbey's Triforium. The tomb of the unknown soldier is a touching memorial to the soldiers who lost their lives in World War I. Lying beneath the memorial slab is the unidentified body of a soldier who was buried in soil and brought back from the battlefields of France. It's said that when the visitors are gone and the abbey is quiet, a ghostly apparition of a soldier appears alongside the tomb, who stands with his head bowed in reflection before disappearing into thin air. Being one of the most visited locations in the UK, I'm sure many of you have visited the Abbey without realising it's one of the most haunted locations in the country. The question is, have you ever experienced anything whilst there? Jamaica Inn. Bodmin Moor in Cornwall is a bleak and wind-swept landscape untouched by modern development, with more than its fair share of myths and legends. While located in the middle of it is Jamaica Inn, believed to be one of the most haunted places in Britain. It was built in 1750 as a coaching house, and has had a long association with smuggling. The inn came into prominence in 1936, when it was the setting for a novel, also called Jamaica Inn, that was turned into a film by the same name in 1939 by Alfred Hitchcock. Despite many believing the inn got its name from the smugglers who stored their Jamaican rum there, it was actually named by the Trelawney family, who had close links with Jamaica. For many years, there have been reports of paranormal experiences at the inn, and guests who have stayed there have heard the sounds of horses' hooves outside and the grind of metal-rimmed wheels turning on the cobbled yard outside. But when looking out the window, there is never anyone there. Footsteps can be heard in the corridors in the dead of night, and conversations have been heard in an unknown language, possibly the old Cornish dialect. There are also frequent sightings of a strange man in a 3-cornered hat and cloak, who has been seen walking through solid doors. Then there is the bar area, that is believed to be haunted by the ghost of a murdered stranger who walked into the bar in 1900 and ordered an ale. As he stood at the bar enjoying his drink, he was summoned outside and never seen alive again. The next day, his corpse was found on the moor, and his murderer was never found. Today, the inn has lost some of its original characters and has been turned into a tourist attraction, although some of the original features remain. Many people who stay there, or even visit, do report an eerie feeling, and can see why it's voted the UK's most haunted inn. Belgrave Hall Museum. Belgrave Hall in Leicester was built as a family home between 1709 and 1713 by Edmund Craddock. Sadly, within 2 years of its completion, both Edmund Craddock and his wife died, so did not fully enjoy the grand Queen Anne-style house they designed. Over the years, the house has been home to many distinguished families, and has gained a reputation as being haunted by a number of ghosts. In 1999, the hall gained worldwide interest and even made national news, when 2 ghostly figures appeared on CCTV footage outside the hall. Many later claimed the footage showed sycamore pods falling from a nearby tree, but others are convinced it's paranormal. After this, the building remained a magnet for ghost hunters, and the International Society for Paranormal Research confirmed there are several cold spots and residual forces within the building. However, unlike most haunted locations, there is no murderous or tragic history attached to the house. This has led ghost hunters to believe it's more of a case that they do not want to leave the former home they loved. There is, however, a formless entity that haunts one of the landings that is opposed to being disturbed and does resonate a lot of negativity. Although over the years, the house would still have seen its fair share of death, and during the 17 and 1800s, a period where infant mortality was high, it's no surprise that some of the ghost sightings are of young children. Visitors often comment on the cooking smells that waft through the building, even though no cooking is taking place. This is thought to be the ghost of a former Victorian cook baking bread and gingerbread for the former family of the house. There have also been reports of a fog-like substance that crawls along the top of the wall and into the garden, and a grey and green lady have been seen walking along the paths. If any of you have ever visited Belgrave Hall, I would love to hear your experience and whether you think it's rightfully so one of the most haunted locations in the UK. So that's 5 of the most haunted locations in the United Kingdom. Please note that there are many other incredibly supposed haunted places in this country, but I've talked about them in other videos, so did not want to repeat them. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of this series, and don't forget to check out the new Top 5s website. We are uploading some great creepy articles this month, and there are also some awesome products on the store to get you in the mood for this creepy month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.